welcome to the Chief Citywide PIP meeting, and thank you for those that are live streaming this evening. I know I got a lot of texts the last hour. I think it's raining in different parts of Houston, so a lot of people said they're going to watch it live stream tonight. And you know, there's a lot of fine people throughout the city that they like to watch it on live stream because they have pets, they have cats, they have dogs, some of them have children, so they have different responsibilities. But I want to thank everybody that is coming out this evening. And like I say, please, as a courtesy, please silence your cell phones. Before we get started, I would like for us to take a moment of silence for the victims in the flood that we had recently in Central Texas. So we could take a moment of silence for the victims and their families. The PIP goal is to work together as stakeholders from all communities to reduce crime in this great city. We have a very informative presentation tonight, and as we advertised and pushed out this meeting, it is a very informative meeting. If you have any questions or concerns about any issues in your division, please wait until after the meeting. We appreciate that. As all of the HPD divisional PIP groups play a very important role, we have a special announcement tonight also. I'd like to introduce Tracy Dudley, and if she is, I think she's right there. She is the founder, executive director of Project Girls Houston. Tracy leads direct intervention to women in high-risk locations, surviving addiction and violence by turning high-risk motels into recovery hubs, providing on-site support and crisis care. Ms. Dudley, would you like to come up and make a brief remark?
Thank you so much. Good evening. Thank you so much. I definitely want to give a shout out to all the law enforcement for all of the hard work you do and everybody that's here. So yes, so my name is Tracy Dudley. I'm the founder of Project Girls Houston. I'm also a survivor of what we call the life, the game, exploitation, addiction, incarceration for many, many years. And so Project Girls' main focus is Hobby Airport area. Telephone Road, Broadway, Belfort, Airport Boulevard. You know, if you're in that area, I grew up there off of Monroe. It doesn't take much for anyone to notice there's a great big elephant in the room, and that elephant is there is a whole lot of activity happening in very high-risk motels. They're in a 3-mile radius from Telephone Road to Airport Boulevard. There's more than 50 hotels and motels. There's more than 50 hotels and motels that are full of chicks that are what we call hidden licks, meaning they are doing what they need to do to survive. They're full of addiction, they're full of pain, full of trauma. They're someone's mom, they're someone's daughter. They're missing in action because they're very involved in a lifestyle. And so what we do is we focus primarily on those motels that are in that area by going into those high-risk places. We have 2 programs, Canines and Renegades. What is a renegade? A renegade, in the world of human trafficking, a renegade is a girl without a pimp, without a trafficker. That means she's an independent worker. Basically, she is surviving that life. She is supporting a drug addiction. Her children is calling someone else mom at this point. You know these girls. We pass by them. And so I'm so very thankful for, the truth is, the reality is law enforcement is boots on the ground. They're the ones in the mix. So we're always looking for people to come alongside. I'm real thankful for victim services and other stakeholders that are in the mix, but people to come alongside that we can train to take into these motels to turn these into recovery hubs. The reason we have Canines and Renegades is because we not only work with the girls that are surviving the trauma of the game, but we also work with their dogs. So there is high population of dogs that are living on property in these motels, so we serve both. And then through our Southeast Houston initiative, I've probably got like 3 seconds left. Through our Southeast Houston initiative, that is where we are bringing together stakeholders. In fact, we had our first town hall meeting at Southeast Patrol last week, and it was off the chain. I welcome you to learn about our services, and we thank the city and all law enforcement and all of you. I'll be around after the meeting if you'd like to learn more about our services. Thank you.
I'd like to point out a couple of great groups. We have Pamela Hu. She is with the Texas Chinese Radio Channel. I know we have great interaction with the Chinese community. Pamela, you want to just stand up and wave your hand at least? She is the director of the Texas Chinese Radio Channel, and we interact with them quite often in the Asian community. Lastly, I'd like to point out we have our deaf and hard of hearing group. They're a very active group, very important stakeholders in this city. So thank you very much. And those also, the deaf and hard of hearing, that is also watching live stream. Lastly, we have our resource tables against the wall. We always have the health department, Harris County DA's office, the mayor's office with disabilities, Pride Houston, HPD Victim Services, the tax division, and also we will have Project Girls Houston in the future. But we want to thank you, and after the meeting, if you want to go over and interact with them and have any questions with them, please get with them. Next, I'd like to introduce our citywide board member, Connie Savage. You have the floor.
Thank you, everyone. I know better. Thank you, everyone. I would like to welcome everyone that is here this evening and everyone that is watching online. We appreciate your attendance. At these citywide PIP meetings, the goal is to work together as stakeholders from the community to reduce crime and provide the attending members proactive, informative information in which you can benefit and share with your communities. Our success has been expressed by the following statement. We are a dedicated group of citizens and business owners working together with a dedicated chief and command staff interacting together to reduce crime. We would like to thank you all for your participation to gain the growth and the recognition from other cities and police departments. Next, we will have the department's Crime Analysis Division provide a citywide crime analysis report. This evening, Division Manager Jim Mallard will provide us with the report. Mr. Mallard, thank you.
Thank you, Connie. I appreciate it. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As Connie mentioned, I'm going to give you an update on where we stand on crime so far. Looking through the end of May, we're looking pretty good. These numbers are pretty consistent with what I reported at the last PIP a couple months ago. We're still tracking a slight increase in our murder category, although it is a smaller increase than it was 2 months ago whenever we had the citywide PIP. Violent crime, almost 16% down year to date through the end of May, and non-violent almost 8%, and then grand total about 9% down year to date. So we're pretty happy with where these numbers are tracking, but we're continuing to work on our murder category. We'd like to see decreases going into the end of the year. So that's for the crime. Crime stats and transparency on our website. There's a lot of good information there. As I mentioned that at each meeting, I think it's worthwhile to take a look in there. There's a lot of information. The community crime map is a great way to stay informed about what's going on in your area. I mentioned that you can set up alerts. These are pretty specific. You can set up the distance anywhere from 500 feet to 5 miles around a location. You can set up specific crime types to be notified, and you can indicate how often you'd like to be notified. And so I'd encourage you to take a look at Community Crime App to stay informed about what's going on in your area. So that's all I have for you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Next, we'd like to introduce Executive Assistant Chief Guzman. He will make a short presentation this evening.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank y'all for coming. I know the weather was a little up and down today throughout the day, so I appreciate everybody that was here, especially the officers that are out there. Thank y'all for coming. I know it's been a long day for some of y'all because I've seen some of y'all in class. And our resource table, thank y'all for coming, always being a part of this. But most importantly, thanks for the people that came. You know, I know it's always a challenge, but thank y'all for showing up and all the people that are live, you know, watching us on streaming. So just want to give a little quick update, you know, on behalf of Chief Diaz. He wasn't able to make it today, but I know he'd want to welcome everybody here. Thank y'all for coming. One thing we are looking at moving forward with the citywide PIP is going to different locations throughout the city. I know we've had the citywide PIP here at the Union for about how long, James?
20 years.
About 20 years. So as y'all know, we're a big city. There's a lot of communities that aren't able to come here for the citywide PIP for various reasons. You know, some of it might be the weather, traffic, or whatnot. But we feel like it's our responsibility, if they can't come, for us to go to them. So moving forward, we'll be going around the city, different areas, try to hit every community. I know there's only 6 citywide PIPs throughout the year, so we're gonna do our best to hit the entire city as much as possible. Now, I don't want people that come to the citywide PIP here at Central to think that they will no longer be able to come to a PIP. Central always has their PIP. They have their PIP. They'll continue to have their PIP. What's exciting for Central is that they're opening up a new station. So their PIP, I hope I'm saying this correctly, and I'll put Lucy Vieira on the spot. Will the PIP be held at the station, or will y'all be holding it here at the Union? It'll be at the new station. So it's almost a perfect transition time to be doing this. So, but with that, we have a very good presentation. It's about an hour long or so, but it's very informative. So I don't want to keep y'all from that. But again, on behalf of Chief Diaz, thank y'all for coming tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the special informative presentation this evening is Surviving Active Shooter. This important community training presentation will teach individuals how to react effectively in dangerous situations involving an active shooter. Presented by Stephen Daniels, subject matter expert on active shooter defense for citizens. Please note this presentation may lap over an hour or more, with additional time for questions and answering. Stephen?
All right.
Mr. Daniel? There.
Stephen sounds better. Yeah, yeah. All right, well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out. I'm a little taken back that we got so many people on such a blustery day out, but that doesn't surprise me because you guys are the backbone. Now, I know these officers think they are, but come on. You citizens are what drive this department. You're always here to support us, and I appreciate that. So, with no further ado, as soon as we can get the video going up here. Can y'all see the screen okay? Okay, all right, well, let's move ahead. Nonetheless, we're gonna talk about active shooting. Not a pleasant topic, but unfortunately, it's a necessity in the world we live in today. As you can see there from the FBI, one or more individuals actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in the populated area. Notice it doesn't say anything about guns. What did we see over in New Orleans here a while back? A pickup. Yeah. So they use all types of means. Pickup trucks, guns, obviously. Over in China, they use machetes at the train stations. I mean, the bottom line is, you got to understand this. It's not a gun problem. It's a troubled human being problem right there. It's in their mind. If they want to kill a bunch of people and that makes them feel great, trust me, they will find a way to do it. So let's talk about this in more detail. Now, we do have a history in Houston of active shooting events. As you can see there, Poe Elementary School, back in 1959, not far from here, over by the Museum District, where we had 6 people killed and 18 injured. Absolute tragic event. Disgruntled dad showed up, allegedly, to enroll his kid in school. He had a backpack, but what he had in the backpack was dynamite. Long story short, he detonated it, killed himself, killed his son, killed a teacher or a principal there, and injured a few other people, injured 18 and killed a few other people. So, but then, even a little closer to home, maybe in 1973, Red Elementary School over in the Meyerland area, a deranged individual shows up and starts shooting. When it's all done, we have 3 people dead and 2 that were injured. And surprisingly enough, of those 2, I've been doing this about 12 years ago. I guess it was maybe 10 years ago. I'm doing a training just like this. And in my audience is one of those survivors. Karen Kurtz lives in Houston today. And obviously she's an adult, and she survived that. So these things reach out and they touch people everywhere. It's pretty epidemic now. More recently, we see up in the Chicago area, just on July the 2nd, last Wednesday, we had another shooting where 4 were killed and 14 people wounded. These things just persist. Now, when I started doing this some 12 years ago, we were having about 1 active shooting a quarter. Now we're having them every week. It's just epidemic. So the best thing we can do is what we're here tonight to do. I'm going to show you how to create your own personal, unique survival mindset for all the different places you go. I'm not going to encourage you to carry a gun, knife, or mace or any of that. No, I want to show you how to think. And folks, don't ever sell the human brain short of what it can do. Trust me. Now, moving along, at this shooting up there, we had 4 killed, 14 wounded, and it was a drive-by shooting outside of a restaurant and a lounge up there. So these things do happen pretty much everywhere. Now, a little closer to home, a lot of you, because I can see there's a few of you like me that have been around a day or two. That's a polite way to say it. Yes, ma'am. Anyway, back in 1966, I can remember this. I was just up the road in Fort Worth, junior in high school, and troubled individual starts the morning out by killing his wife, killing his mother-in-law, and then he goes up to the tower, drags this big footlocker full of gear and everything, and he starts shooting. When it's all over, he's killed, as you can see right there, 17 and wounded 31. Now you have to understand, this is before we knew what SWAT was. Back then, SWAT was what you did with flies, okay? But now, we've advanced to the point that we are a lot more prepared for these kind of things. But nonetheless, so what did they do? How many of you are native Texans? Well, then you know what they did. The good old boys showed up. They went to their pickups and got their guns out, their deer rifles, and they came back and started laying fire down. And eventually, 4 brave men went up the tower, and 2 went one way, 2 went the other. Long story short, they put a stop to this tragic situation. A really unfortunate situation, and I understand that the tower is back open these days where you can go up there, and if you get up there and you look, you can actually see pot marks in the stone where the shots were fired from down below trying to take the sniper out. Anyway, not a good history. But this young lady, Jacqueline Matthews, she's really unique. She's the only person to my knowledge that has survived 2 separate active shooting events. Now, she was just a young lady at Sandy Hook when that tragedy, and probably most of you can remember Sandy Hook. She survived that. Then she grew up, went off to Michigan State, and wouldn't you know it, in her senior year, sure enough, they had another active shooting, and she found herself right in the middle of it again. Now she's gone off to graduate school studying some little simple topic like Arabic language. Yeah, right, sure. I have enough trouble with Texan, but anyway. So anyway, I just wondered, does her new university know what her track record is? I mean, really, but anyway, no, she's a very bright young lady. So these things do happen, unfortunately. But they happen to ordinary people. We're not talking about anything exceptional. And that's all I'm looking for is ordinary people, because you can do exceptional things. And to date, I got 5 survivors in the 12 years that I've been teaching this, 5 survivors that I know of that have come back and said, Mr. Daniel, I did what you said when they started shooting and killing people all around me. Here I am. So, and the most recent one I'll talk about in just a little bit, but it was out in Las Vegas. I mean, I think we'll all agree Las Vegas was a very serious active shooting event. So anyway, that's just the reality right there. But moving right along, let's look at some numbers. 2023, the FBI said we had 48 incidents. Now, you got to understand this too. The media, anytime somebody shoots somebody, they want to call it an active shooting. Well, depends on your definition. But the definition I work with, because the active shooting that I'm talking about are people that have a fixation on randomly killing innocent human beings. They get excited by this. These are the crazy people that we're dealing with. But 2023, we had a 22% decrease. Well, that sounds pretty good, but stop and think, what was going on? Well, 2 years before that, what were we doing? Dealing with COVID. Everything was locked down. Probably the only good thing that came out of COVID is it kept the nutcases home, okay? But they made up for it the next year. That's why it exploded in 2022, and now 2023 you see a decrease. So don't let that mislead you. It's just starting to settle back down to an unfortunately more normal level. Normal being 105 people killed that year, 139 wounded. Of the 50 shooters, 49 were men, only 1 female. Ladies, draw your own conclusion from that. Yeah, that's what I tell my daughters. So anyway, the number arrested were 30, killed 12. 7 of them were kind enough to solve the problem without us having to get involved. So anyway, excuse me, I keep saying that us. No discredit to the guys in the back. You know, I just have it. Sorry. Anyway, statistically, you're not going to be the victim of an active shooter. So take a look there. I got 5 bullet points up there. Out of those 5 bullet points, you might notice 3 of them happen to be where? Texas. No, let's get more specific. Houston, the greater Houston area. Yeah. And until recently, we had the title of the most deadly active shootings. But guess what? It's gone out to California with all the fruit, flakes, and nuts. It's out there. So I don't wish that on them, though. I don't wish that on anybody. But nonetheless, you can see there, we start with Memorial Drive, where this individual, he got discharged from the military over in San Antonio, and on a Saturday, he drives over to Houston, gets off, goes down to Memorial Drive, and about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he pulls into this tire shop, okay? Well, on Saturday, those guys lock it up at noon, and what do? They go fishing. So he gets up, rattles the door. Nobody unlocks the door or anything. He looks around, breaks the glass, reaches in, opens the door, and decides that's where he's going to hunker down. So he spends the night in the tire shop. Sunday morning, he gets up, grabs his assault rifle, walks out on the middle of Memorial Drive, starts shooting. And as you can see there, the end result is 2 were killed and 6 were injured. Absolute horrible event. And that was kind of interesting because I understand the first officer on scene was one of our lady officers, but she had a secret weapon. Yeah, it's called a husband. He just happens to be the sniper for the SWAT team. And he's getting, it's Sunday, right? So guys, what do you do on Sunday if you got the day off? You're going to go out and party. Well, yeah, they're getting ready. So these guys are going to have a luau. And so he's ready to go, and the phone rings, and his wife, honey, get your gun and get over here. Gentlemen, as any intelligent husband knows, the response is, yes, dear, I'm on the way. And so he gets his gun, shows up, knocks on the lady's door, and you got to picture this. He's in Bermuda shorts, Hawaiian shirt, and a big gun with a big scope. Ma'am, I need your upstairs. What are you going to tell a guy like that? Sure, go ahead, be my guest. So he goes up there. This guy's over 1,000 yards down Memorial Drive. He's hiding behind one of the patrol cars, but the weather was pretty nice that day. So both the front windows were down, and the patrol car saved the city some money. So anyway, he's hiding there, and our guy sights it in, and all of a sudden, he just squeezes that trigger. He sends it around lazily down Memorial Drive. It goes in one window of the patrol car, out the other window. Next thing we see is a big red splash. Problem is solved, folks. Trust me. Anyway, but then we move to Law Street, which I'll go into more detail later, where 1 was killed. Fortunately, it was the bad guy, but 10 people were pretty seriously injured. But without doubt, The most tragic one, in my opinion, around this area, Santa Fe High School, as you can see there, where we had 10 people killed. I believe 8 of them were students and 2 of them were adults, and 10 more injured. Absolute tragic event. So these terrible events do happen, unfortunately, around us. We're not immune from them whatsoever. So moving right along, I break it down into 6 categories. As you can see there, K through 12, college, university, workplace, house of worship, medical facility, and general public. So K through 12, well, it tends to be a white male shooter. Don't ask me why. I don't know. It just does. And they do have a history of trauma. They really get into planning these things. If you do a little research on the Columbine boys, those guys were master planners. They planned that thing out to the nth degree. They had maps, they had diagrams, they had it all rehearsed and everything. Really get into this thing, all right? And they used multiple stolen guns. Well, why stolen guns? Well, a lot of these young kids, they can't legally go out and buy a gun, but we'll talk about that more in just a little bit. So anyway, that's the reality there. But now college, university shooter, for some reason it flips around. It's a non-white male. I don't know why. They do have a history of violence and childhood trauma. Once again, that same recurring theme. Kids growing up didn't have the support of mama and daddy. And going back to Columbine, those young men, yeah, they lived in nice homes. Their parents were nice people, but both of those young men had deadbolt locks on their bedroom doors. Mom and daddy didn't have, a key. I don't know what your parenting philosophy is, but that doesn't fly in my house. So anyway, that's the reality right there. And they're suicidal. This really ramps it up for these officers when they get on a scene like that. And these guys want them to kill them. It just makes it that much more intense. And again, technically, they legally obtain the guns they're using. Workplace shooter. You may or may not recognize that. That's night transportation just down the road in Katy, Texas. And we had a situation where some 2.5 years ago, gentleman got terminated. Well, he left, okay. But now the next day he shows back up for work just like nothing happened except he's got a gun. He walks in past all his buddies. Hey, guys, have a great day. He goes straight to the HR manager, shoots and kills HR, then kills himself. That is not an active shooter. You go, but he killed. It is not an active shooter. A true active shooter, their goal is to kill as many human beings as possible. They're trying to beat the all-time high score of that, and that was not in the United States, surprisingly. It was in Paris, France, at the Bataclan Theater, where in one night these crazy terrorists came in and shot and killed over 150 people. A title we don't want. So nonetheless, that's what took place there. And that's what a lot of these shooters are really trying to do. They want to kill just as many people as possible. They're not going to be like night transportation where they have a targeted individual. All right, so moving right along, workplace shooter, they tend to be a male in their 40s. Frankly, there's no racial profile at this point. And more likely than not, they're a blue-collar worker. And the guns they use, well, they've used on these for a number of years. All of a sudden, life is just caving in. They don't know how to cope with it other than act out in this excessively violent manner, and that's exactly what they do. Now, house of worship shooter tends to be a white male in their 40s. Again, don't ask me why, I don't know. They're suicidal with some prior criminal record or history of violence. And usually a handgun. Why a handgun? A little obvious, walking in church carrying an assault rifle, but I'll contradict myself in just a moment. And they know the people they're about to shoot and kill. Now, White Settlement Church of Christ, just outside of Fort Worth, all right? So on a Sunday morning, they have 5 deacons at that church, and by their choice, they carry, all right? Now, frankly, I'm not telling you that's right. I'm not telling you it's wrong. I'm telling you that every house of worship ought to decide for themselves how they're going to deal with that issue, all right? But that church, that's what they did. They had 5 deacons that carried. Now, one of those deacons happened to own the local gun range, so he shot quite a bit. And when all the shooting started, before we knew it, of those 5, 2 were shot and killed. And this guy's in, and he's down in the congregation. He's about halfway down the aisle on the far side of the auditorium between the back and up by the pulpit. And our guy that owns a gun range, which is an incredibly good shot, he takes one shot clean across the congregations, put a stop to the whole thing. So absolutely horrible situation in White Settlement, all right? So medical facility, it tends to be a middle to older age shooter with some perceived grievance. Hey, I came into Ben Top the other night. Man, they just blew me off. You know, they gave me some aspirin and sent me home. I'll show them. Just wait. I'll get them. Just wait. But there's another one you have to watch out for. The gangbangers. They shot it out on the street. Didn't go according to plan. So they're bringing the fight on down into the ER. And here they come. So, folks, the reality is, anytime you have to go to the emergency room, you really got to have your head in the game. But why are you going to the ER? You don't feel good, right? So I strongly suggest in a case like that, get a friend, neighbor, relative, somebody that's doing okay to go with you. And when you get there, sit with your back against the wall. Don't sit out here in the middle. Tell your companion, watch that main door. Somebody comes through with a gun that's not a law enforcement officer. Grab me. We're going this way, that way, whatever the case may be. But I can guarantee you, emergency rooms can be wild and crazy places without a doubt. All right? So now we're getting into a more familiar territory there. I'm sure everybody recognizes that. That's the Galleria. So here we have gosh, what was it now? Maybe a year ago? I'm sorry, I lost track of time there. But anyway, it's a Saturday morning. Ladies, what happens at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning at the Galleria? They open for business. Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of our officers, he's working an extra job, and he's on the same level as the conference room they have down at the far end at the Westin Hotel. And in this conference room that morning, there's a bunch of high schoolers having some kind of meeting, whatever. Well, like I said, he's on the same level, but down at the far opposite end. And he's watching the shopkeepers come out, unlocking everything. And all of a sudden, he sees this guy walking in from the garage down there at that end, opposite where these kids are. And this guy's a certified lunatic. Let me tell you, he's got a pistol, an assault rifle, a bulletproof vest. Later on, we determined he had about 1,000 rounds of ammo on him. And he's looking at those kids. The officer thinks about taking his pistol and taking a shot. He says, no, at this distance, one shot, one kill. He spin around and shoot the kids. I can't do that. Keeps the gun holster. He takes off running down that balcony. I mean, he's going 90-0. And let me tell you, and I'm not trying to preach to you, but somebody somewhere intervened right about that time, because this guy, he looks off in the opposite direction just long enough to give this officer take a flying leap, hit him from behind, tackle him, get him on the ground, cuff him up, off to jail he goes. Not a shot fired. But can you imagine if he'd spun around and started shooting those kids? That would be known in history for years to come. Absolute tragic situation. But, you know, no good deed goes unpunished, and these officers back there, they know that. That officer in question was Sergeant Kendrick Sempro. Anyway, and here a while back, he got summoned to the office. You might guess, maybe you recognize the gray-haired old guy behind him? Yeah, he got summoned to the office of the President of the United States to receive the nation's highest award for valor. And Kendrick's a cool guy. And before I retired, I got acquainted with him a little bit. And he deserves it. But let's be real. Kendrick didn't do anything, in my opinion, with 19 years around this place. Kendrick didn't do anything that 95% of any of these other officers, male or female, would have done in the same circumstance. But he did it, so I don't begrudge him. That's just the reality right there. Now, moving along, how do I survive? Well, looky there. I got a picture of 20 kids and 6 teachers from Sandy Hook. It took exactly 4 minutes for all those people in that picture to die. 4 minutes. So that's why we're here tonight, really, is to show you how to create your own personalized, unique survival mindset through visualization. For anywhere that you go outside of your home, you go to the grocery store, I want you to visualize being there, a gunman coming in, how you would use the run, hide, fight tactics and techniques. You're sitting in your house of worship. I want you to visualize if that happened there, what you do. And if you're out of the mall, all the different places you go on a regular basis, I want you to visualize. And look, don't ever sell the human brain short of your ability. If you train your brain, it will take care of you. I'm telling you, all right? So, moving along though, survival mindset. I break it down into 3 categories. Number 1, instinctive. Now, let me tell you, in 30 years of active shooting experience, I find only one example of that. And that was a couple of years ago up in Indianapolis, Indiana. Young boy comes to school, middle school with a gun, and he starts shooting. Before you know it, he shot a 13-year-old girl. And a teacher, he goes into action, tackles the kid, gets him on the ground, stops the shooting, okay? That's cool. But in the process on that Monday morning, he got himself shot 3 times. But amazingly, I noticed on the national news Friday, the dude's out watching the kids play softball. It's like, man, how do you get shot 3 times on Monday and you're well enough to watch the kids play softball on Friday? Let me tell you, somebody's watching after that guy figure out what I'm talking about. All right. Anyway, but develop survival mindset. That's why I'm here tonight. I want to encourage everybody in here in the coming days to visualize all the different locations, maybe a day at a time, over a period of a week or 2. Visualize being there, a gunman coming in, and using the run, hide, fight tactics and techniques that we're going to talk about here tonight. If you do that, God forbid it ever happen to you, you go from probably about a 2% chance of survival up probably close to about an 80% chance of survival. It's not a guarantee, but it certainly gives you a much better fighting chance to go home alive. But let's face it, you guys are weird. You're down here tonight instead of doing something else out like most of the population. So that's just the reality. But hey, the majority of people, I just call them ostriches. Because hey, it's not going to happen to them. No, it's not going to happen to them. Yeah, you want to bet your life on it? I wouldn't. Now, creating your survival mindset, I got to pull you out of your comfort zone just a tad, but you can deal with this. In doing so, you're going to establish some good, sound logic and data up there in your brain in the coming days. And doing so in a crisis, you more likely are going to make the right choice that significantly improves your odds of survival. Now, if you want to be a hero, let Connie do it. She's short. They have a hard time hitting her anyway. So let Connie be the hero. So if you want to assist people, that's cool. But here's how you do it. As you're running out of the building, okay? So you're in a big room like this, and all of a sudden you hear gunfire, and you make for the door, and you get there and look back, and one of your good friends is over here in the corner, shaking and shivering and frozen with fear, and he or she can't move. You go, hey, come on. And if they don't move, I suggest the next words out of your mouth are something to the effect of, good luck. Because look, if you are the really nice person, and you go, oh, please, come on, we gotta go. Let me explain to you what's gonna happen. That shooter's gonna come up behind you, put the gun to your head, and kill you. I can tell you, your loved ones will not appreciate your heroic act, okay? So get up, get out. If they want to follow you, God bless them, let them follow you. But otherwise, get up, get going. And we know calm is contagious. When people are petrified and scared to death, and you have thought through this, and you're moving with direction, you're moving with purpose, they're going to follow you. I'm telling you, it's human nature. Because leadership always fills a vacuum. When they're scared to death and they don't have a clue what to do, and you're moving with purpose, they're going to follow you. And we know for a fact, intelligent responses save lives. I can't tell you how many active shootings are reviewed. And candidly, a lot of things people do in a crisis like that are just crazy. And that crazy stuff gets you killed. That's it right there. And what's our goal? It's real simple. We don't care about being a hero. We just want to go home alive, folks, okay? So, now we're going to see if we can do the magic of getting the video to work here in a minute. Of course, James Sabota has guaranteed me he'll make it work. There you go, James, right there. Click that. It's James's fault. Okay. Well then, let me just tell you this. Everybody's got a computer. Everybody's got YouTube. I hope, okay? Go to YouTube and look for excursion. Maybe one of our guys can get this one. All right, well, I'm just waiting. It is a good video. And I have every confidence they're gonna get it working here momentarily. Okay. All right, okay, well, look. I really encourage you, when you have time, go and look on your computers, look under YouTube for Excursion. It's out of Australia. Now, my version is edited down, but the version that you'll find is about 19 minutes and 27 seconds. Please take the time to watch that. That will give you a real insight into how these things go. So if we can just get back to where our slide is, James. James, if we can just get back to the slide where it's at, and they can watch this on their computer. No, keep going. It's the one right after the video.
Don't do the video, because it's not ready for it.
Oh, okay, no, we're trying to get past it. I- Go past that, go one more. Right there where it says, right there, that's what we need, start that. It worked yesterday. It's the rain, kind of says, okay. All right. So,
Don't wait on us.
all right, well, I need you to just make that the whole slide. Go over there where it says up from current slide, click on that. Excuse me. Okay, so they're shooting. What do I do? Good question right there. Number one, trust your eyes, not your ears. Sound reverberates. It may sound like they're over here and they're really over there. So trust the eyes, number one. Ears, number two. Have a predetermined escape route. Wherever you're at church or at the mall, whatever the case, always know how to get out of that place. That is really important. And if you're running, hey, zigzag. Make yourself a difficult target. And if everybody's running that way, go that way. If I'm the shooter, I'm not shooting to the crowd of people. So the last thing you want to do is be in a crowd. Now, here's what I hope everybody does. I hope everybody scatters like a covey of quail. That makes it more challenging for the shooter, and that's a good thing. But slow down, assess the situation. Now, you got to think for a minute. You got to figure out where's everybody going, what's happening, and where do I need to go. And that's where thinking ahead of time, visualizing ahead of time this run, hide, fight will really pay big dividends to you. Now, here's our second definition of an active shooter. Comes from the National Tactical Officers Association. The real key is down there where it talks about robbery and kidnapping. Major takeaway, an active shooter is not like your average criminal. He's wired totally different. Let's take robbery. All right, this guy says, hey, I'm a little broke. I need some cash. He gets up, grabs a gun, goes down to the nearest bank, walks in, sticks a gun in their face. I need to make a withdrawal. And so they start filling his bag full of cash. He's really excited about this. But he doesn't notice one of these fine officers in the back, they want to come in and cash one of those really heavy extra duty checks. Yeah, my daughter does that. So anyway, and that's the reality. So these guys, they're not paying any attention. But a real active shooter, it's going to be like at Sparks Middle School. Okay, so we have this former military guy, Michael Lansbury, and he served, I think, like 8 years in the military. Now he's a middle school teacher, okay? And they have a kid come to school that day, and he's decided he's going to shoot and kill a bunch of people, and trust me, that's what he does. And so he's out there shooting and everything. Well, Lansbury, with his background, he very bravely walks up to the kid, faces him off. The kid's right in front of him, point blank range, pointing a gun at him. Son, calm down, relax, we can work this out. And what does the kid do? He pulls the trigger, hits Lansbury right there between the eyes. He is dead before he hits the ground. Look, you got to understand this. Once they've pulled the trigger, there is no reason for them to stop shooting. So now, if they haven't pulled the trigger, there might be a chance to talk them down. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But if they pulled that trigger, folks, run for your life. No hose barred. Get up, get out, and do whatever you have to, because they will show you no mercy, trust me. Now, we know 60% of the active shooting events are over before law enforcement can ever get there. That's just an unfortunate reality. Now, you know, the reality is we get a call of an active shooter, and I don't think any, what are you laughing at back there? Yeah, Lieutenant. Yeah. So anyway, what call gets these guys ramped up and charging hard? Active shooter. So, you know, if you ever see a bunch of police cars just zipping by, odds are they're probably going to a shooting, probably an active shooter. So get out of the way and let them do their job, all right? But 60% of them are still over, because within 4 minutes, like I said, at Sandy Hook, 4 minutes, 20 kids and 6 teachers are dead. 4 minutes. It's going to take 4 minutes to get anywhere in this town. And not only do they have to get there, they have to get out, and they got to go to the back of the unit, put that big, heavy, extra bulletproof vest on, grab that assault rifle, get in, locate the shooter, and go to work. So the reality is, this stuff happens very, very quickly, folks. So, now, bottom line is, every active shooting incident is totally unique. The application of tactics it's really up to you. You got to understand what is going on and what your options are, plain and simple, all right? So that is why, think about these things. Think about the places you go and visualize, say over the next 2 weeks, visualize all the different places you go on a regular basis, how you would run, hide, or fight in those locations if you were ever there, and God forbid, an active shooting took place. And again, don't ever sell the human brain short of what it's capable of, folks. I'm telling you. Now let's talk about Sandy Hook for a minute. All right. Back in 2012, I had a chance the following year after that to spend half a day with Colonel Danny Steubens. Steubens was in charge of managing that horrible event. Learned quite a bit from the colonel that day. Most of it we're not going to go into. But let me just say this. The important thing is, after the people in Newtown, Connecticut buried their kids, buried their teachers, they got together down at the schoolhouse one night, had a meeting, and took a vote. The product of that vote was bulldoze down this school. Now, this school, pretty nice school, affluent community, they didn't care. They bulldozed down the school, filled in the basement. The house where the shooter grew up, a couple $1 million, bulldozed down, filled in. They did everything they could in their power to eliminate the memory of this horrible event. But you can't do that. Those mamas and daddies and surviving spouses, that's not going to work. They're never going to forget their loved ones. So that's just the unfortunate reality. Now, we see a picture up there. That lady, somebody caught her just at the worst time in her entire life. that's where she has been told her child is one of the fatalities up there at that terrible shooting, all right? So the reality is, though, we cannot control the situations that come to us in life. What can we do? We can control how we respond to them. And that's why, folks, I get so emphatic about doing these trainings, getting people to think, to get their mind in gear so that, God forbid it ever happen to you, you do have a choice. You can make an intelligent move. And as I said, it's not 100% guaranteed, but it's drastically better than no preparation whatsoever, all right? So, we learned some lessons from Las Vegas. Number one, once you get to a venue, scope it out. Figure out, okay, if something happens, I can go this way and go that way, whatever the case may be. That's really important. Say you're at the rodeo. You get seated, and it's like, okay, hey, there's a service corridor, I can go that way. There's an emergency exit back. Always know wherever you're at, how you get out. And let me tell you, the next time you sit in your house of worship, and for years you sit right in the middle of the congregation, you might want to think about scooting over closer to the door. Just a thought, okay? So anyway, but I can't tell you how many times people come back and say, well, I heard the shots, but I thought it was fireworks. Newsflash, any loud sound out in public is a gunshot until proven otherwise. If you're wrong, so what? If you're right, that may give you the 2 or 3 seconds that saves your life. And be prepared to render aid. Absolutely important these days. You know, it doesn't take long at all for a person to bleed out. 5 minutes or less, and they're gone. So I really encourage you to get training in first aid for gunshot wounds. While I know how to do that, and I have taught it, we're very fortunate in Houston. We got some real experts that do this day in and day out, and it's our brothers over at the fire department. So grab you a paramedic one of these days and get him come in and teach about an hour class just on the down and dirty, how to put pressure on a wound, how to put a tourniquet on. And it's probably not going to be an active shooter, but what about if it's a horrible accident on the freeway? I mean, how helpless is it to watch somebody bleed to death and you say, you should have learned. No, learn how to do that. You just never know when that may come into play. Now, intervene. Direct encounter with a guy. Let's just keep going here. All right. So anyway, you have various options. I would say maybe 1% of the population is really capable of doing a direct intervention. Hey, Charlie, sit down. We need to talk. It's when it's not when they're shooting, but it's when they're exhibiting these characteristics that makes you really wonder. But if that's not you, then go to your supervisor, HR, senior management. But let me tell you, if nobody's comfortable dealing with this, you're very fortunate, because the Houston Police Department has a mental health unit that I'm telling you is second to none in the nation. Right there, give them a call. Tell them what you got. Hey, if you just have a neighbor that's acting a little strange, or a family member you're concerned, I'm not saying they're an active shooter. I'm just saying something's not right. Reach out. Those people are very, very helpful. Tell them what you got. They'll give you their input. And if you need more, they can certainly refer you to qualified people in the mental health industry. Do you realize what a pervasive problem mental illness is? A huge percentage of everybody these officers arrest and take to jail, they got a significant amount of mental illness, all right? That's just the reality. So, moving along. In our schools, we're putting these posters up. Oh, big deal, posters. So Tom says to Sam, dude, come over to my house after school. I've got something you need to see. So they go over there. What does he show him? Shows him his pistol, his assault rifle, his bulletproof vest, and all his ammo. He says, dude, next Tuesday, don't come to school. Don't come to school. Well, this kid, unlike his friend, comes from a good family. He knows that's really wrong. That's messed up. And so he gets away. And what does he do? He grabs his phone and he dials that tip line. And he calls in and tells them, hey, my buddy Sam, he's going to do a Columbine next Tuesday at our high school here. And he lives at this address. And then he hangs up. That's cool. That's all we need. At that point, we can get a team out there to intercept this child, get them the mental health help they desperately need, saving their lives, and obviously the lives of so many others. Now, warning signs. Well, they're argumentative, they're uncooperative with supervisors, they have rage reactions, they're always a victim, they blame others. Increase accidents, they make a lot of mistakes, they manipulate and exploit others, bully, threaten, or committing violence, withdrawn, depressed, they avoid coworkers. Oh, increased drug and alcohol abuse, what a surprise there. Increased absenteeism, noticeable decrease in grooming and personal hygiene, increased severe mood swings, noticeably unstable emotional responses, suicidal talks, putting things in order. Hey, man, I just got my will rewritten. Everything's organized. Everything's in place. It's not going to be a problem for you or anybody. I got it all. That's the kind of crazy talk they're likely to share with you folks, okay? They're paranoid. Gosh, what a shock that is. Increased talks of problems at home, but they can't work those out. So they bring those problems to work or to church or wherever, and they share them with you because you're lucky, But if you're smart, in my opinion, you'll run from that opportunity as fast as you can. That's the reality right there. They talk of previous incidents of violence. They express empathy for individuals committing violence. Increase unsolicited comments about firearms and other deadly weapons and violent crimes. And that express empathy for individuals committing violence. It's like when we had the shooting up in Aurora, Colorado. Crazy guy like that, what's he gonna do? He's gonna come, hey, did you see the shooter up there, man? Those people he put down, they didn't get up. That was the real deal. No Hollywood. That's the kind of crazy, sick thinking that they're likely to express to you folks. But what are we looking for in their behavior? Consistency. I'm not saying somebody that had a rough weekend and they come in Monday to work or wherever and they're exhibiting a few of these characteristics, don't go crazy. But if by Friday it's just getting worse and worse and worse, maybe you need to think about getting some type of intervention going at one of those levels. When shots are fired, the first thing you want to do is run. Escaping is always your first option. And if you got something really bright on, take it off, cover it up. Don't call attention to yourself. Be unconventional, break windows. If you're on the ground floor of the building, you hear shots, you get up, you look down the hall, you see this guy shooting, people dropping, blood everywhere, and you go, when he looks that way, I'm going this way. It's like, what is wrong with you? Turn around, go back to that outside window, open the window, break it, and go to safety. Even from the second floor, do the same thing. All right? That is important. Don't go out there and let him turn around, see you running down the hall, shoot you in the back, and kill you. All right? That is not a good move right there. Okay? So, but now, let me just be honest with you. If you're on the third floor or higher, this doing the Superman act out the window, that's not real smart. No. Third floor or higher, it's a different ball game. The field of play is the floor you're on. Stay put. Don't go getting on the elevator, because if those doors open and he's there, you're out of luck, folks. And stairwells, forget it. Now, thanks to our fire department, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, our stairwells are concrete, fireproof. That's a good thing if there's fire. But let me tell you, you get in that stairwell and you're starting to go down in a building, and he opens it and sees you even 4 or 5 floors down, he's starting to shoot down, and bullets are just bouncing off the concrete everywhere. That's not going to be a good deal. So again, third floor or higher, you got to find all the hideouts on that floor. The restrooms, the file rooms, the copy rooms. Where can you take refuge on the third floor or higher? That's critical. And weapons, you're sitting there, say, working at your desk, you hear shots, you got a pair of scissors, grab those things, take them with you. Just in case running doesn't work, hiding fizzles out, you got to go hands-on, face-to-face. At least you have your scissors, all right? And I know this is going to be hard, ladies, but those suitcases you call purses, guys, hush, you got your backpacks, come on. Look, you got to understand, there's nothing you possess that's worth slowing you down for even a second that could get you killed. You can come back later and get your stuff. For goodness sakes, don't die for stuff, all right? Now, hiding. Hey, can you lock the door? Can you barricade it? Turn off your cell phone, turn off the lights? Stand clear of the doors, because even though in most cases these sheetrock walls are worse than a door, they will still shoot through these big heavy doors every single time. So don't stand behind the door, all right? Stand to the side. I took 2 square feet of door, and I gave it to the SWAT guys and said, Rick, would you do your thing? And so, yeah, they took that and they shot it. They shot it with everything from a 22 to a 308. You can see little bitty holes up top of the 22. Even a little 22, on any of these commercial doors, you stand behind it and they shoot through that door. It's got enough power that it comes through that door, hits you in a vital organ, you are going to die. So again, don't stand behind the doors, folks. Stand to the side. All right, weapons. Now, you know, most places we go, we can't be carrying our weapons with us, but you still have weapons pretty much everywhere. My favorite right there, by fire code, what do we have everywhere we turn? Fire extinguishers. Yeah, that makes a great weapon. You grab that thing, you stand next to the door. Somehow he gets through the door. Take that nozzle, stick it right in his face, let it go till it's empty. He's coughing and wheezing. Take that fire extinguisher, hit him over the head. God, I love those fire extinguishers. They work so good. Anyway, any kind of broken glass held with a cloth, scissors, knife, whatever the case may be. Now, I do send my 24-year-old daughter to work every day with a deadly weapon. Yeah, my 29-year-old daughter, you guys know what she carries. So anyway, she's a cop. So anyway, right there, ballpoint pen. Yeah, So take that ballpoint pen, and you're going to use that however you have to. That's the reality right there. He comes in the room, you take that ballpoint pen. What are we going to go for? Eyes. Absolutely. Drill that thing home. Oh, and then write your initials on the inside of his skull, on the back inside. He'll remember you. So anyway, but let's talk about another weapon. What do we have in Houston all the time? We see probably the most deadly weapon we got around? Cars. Absolutely. So what do we have on Law Street here 2.5 years ago? Well, this crazy, an attorney, what a surprise. Anyway, he shows up that morning, and at this address, it's about a quarter of a block, and anyway, on this quarter of a block are these really nice condos. They got 2-car garages and 3-car garages. I mean, they're really nice places. And these people, 10 of them, all do the same thing that Monday morning, one at a time. They come down, they get in the car, they hit the button, the garage door opens, they back out, close the garage door, they pull up to the gate. The gate automatically opens, and they really don't pay attention. I mean, it's Monday morning, they're thinking about work and all the things they got to do. And this guy, he has his little green Porsche, and it's parked parallel to the curb, just opposite the gate. So here they sit, the gate opens, and they start to drive out, and he's sitting there leaning up next to the Porsche, and he raises up with a 45 and starts putting rounds right through the windshield of all 10 of these cars. All 10 of these people did the same thing. They whipped the car to the left, flee the threat to get away, half a block down the street, pulled into the parking lot at the shopping center early that morning, and waited for rescue. What if the first person out of the gate had the survival mindset? And instead of turning the car to the left, what if they went straight ahead, gave it the gas, ran this guy over, crushed him between the front bumper of the car and the crushed inside of the Porsche? Folks, having your predetermined survival mindset in this crazy world makes all the difference. You become a survivor, not a victim. Now, combat breathing, ladies, what do you call this? Yes, there we go. It doesn't make any difference. Babies or bullets, it's all the same thing. It's how you keep yourself under control when you're really stressed out. And you do that by breathing in to a count of 4. Hold your breath to a count of 4. Exhale to a count of 4. Do it 4 more times. Your blood pressure comes down a little bit. You're a little calmer, a little bit controlled. Next time somebody really irritates you and you just like to tell them what they can do, don't do that. Try this. It helps you calm down when you're stressed out for whatever reason and get things in perspective. All right? So, now fighting mindset. Well, hey, we've got to the final option. We're going to have to fight this guy. Nobody wants to. Frankly, nobody cares. You've got to. It's going to take a radical mindset change. Best way to express this. You're at the mall with your child or your grandchild, and that child's right there in harm's way. My question is real simple. Are you capable of getting incredibly vicious in order to save your child or grandchild? Especially grandchild, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's the reality right there. But you got to control your emotions. You get all flustered and crazy and can't do it. You're already dead, folks. That's why you got to use the brain God gave you. You got to prepare ahead of time so that if these horrible situations come, you are not paralyzed with fear. You're reacting, you're moving with distinction, you're moving with purpose, and you've given yourself the best chances possible of survival. And swarming, okay, so it's Saturday. You're at the mall with your best friend, and you're getting ready to go shopping, so you've got that cup of coffee, you're standing in the mall, well, let's go over here, I want to get through back there. And all of a sudden, this lunatic walks up, pulls a gun out of his waistband, starts randomly shooting. You go, we can't run, we can't hide, we got to attack this guy. So we tackle the guy, we get him on the ground, we stop the shooting. Be perfectly clear, somebody may get shot, somebody may die, but if you do absolutely nothing, probably it's not going to work out real good. Remember 9/11? Most of us in here were old enough, we remember that, yeah, 9/11. That American airliner flying over the fields of Pennsylvania. What did those brave young men do? After they called home for the very last time, told their loved ones goodbye, they went down and went into the cockpit. They took those terrorists to task. That American airliner nosedived into the field. Everybody on the aircraft died. But if they hadn't done that, we'll never know how many thousands of people would have died in D.C. when that fuel-laden aircraft imploded into our nation's capital. Swarming, just one more technique. But let me tell you, critical thinking, preparing your brain ahead of time, making intelligent choices makes all the difference in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Now, every officer in the department, unless it's changed, I don't think it has, it's been through basically a 2-day course on active shooting. They take the fight to the bad guy. They're going after him. They've evaluated firearms tactical training, long guns, and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but last I heard, we got about 1,400 officers certified to carry assault rifles now, according to last time I talked with Busselman. So anyway, point is, these officers are real serious about this stuff, folks, okay? Now, priority of life scale, hostages, innocent bystanders, they get the first pass on living. You know, once upon a time, every one of these people with these nice looking badges up here did the same thing. They raised their right hand. And in essence, what they said, if it's absolutely necessary, there's no other option, I'll step out there and put my life on the line for the citizens of Houston. You go over there to headquarters. We got a nice museum on the ground floor. You go back there and there's a wall you can see right there. That wall, to my latest understanding, has 121 names on it. That represents 121 men and women that fulfilled that promise to you and me that we might live in relatively safety in this city. So just realize this. When you see an officer and see that badge up there, realize that's what they've put on the line when they've come to work that day, that they're willing to put their lives on the line for you and for me every day of the week that they're out there. All right? But suspects, you know, if you listen to the media, you know these officers, they're going to shoot and kill them the first chance they get. Let me tell you, the media is out of touch. I can't tell you, and I'm sure people around this room got better stories than I got, but in my 18, 19 years with the department, I've seen situations where these officers went way beyond department policy, putting their necks on the line to try to save some of these people out there that frankly, they didn't have to go that far, but that's the kind of quality officers you have in Houston, Texas. So when the officers arrive, they're going to get geared up. They're going to have long guns. They're not going to stop to help you. Oh, you got shot and you're laying here in the lobby, you're gushing blood. No, I'm sorry. They're going to step over you because you're not the mission. What's the mission? Put a stop to the shooting. Now, once they do that, they'll do everything within their power to assist and keep you from bleeding to death and whatever. But until that happens, they got their purpose. They have to get to that shooter and put a stop to the killing, all right? That's where they're going, to the sound of the killing. So anyway, when the officers get there, don't do anything that can be seen as aggressive. They don't know the good guys from the bad guys. Raise your hand, spread your fingers so they know you're not holding a weapon, all right? And they may ask you to lie on the ground. If so, just do what they ask, all right? Officers are trained that hands kill, stop and think. Hands hold guns, knives, throw punches. Hands do all the bad stuff. So if you're driving along tomorrow, maybe the sun's going to be shining, anyway, and all of a sudden you look in the rearview mirror and oh, I got an invitation to pull to the side of the road. So you pull over, you stop your car, turn off the engine, put the windows down, emergency flashers on, hands on the wheel, take a deep breath and relax. Eventually this officer, he or she, will come up. It may be 5 minutes. It could be a few minutes longer. Don't worry about it. Just, they'll come up and keep your hands where you see. And I don't know. I can't imagine anybody in this group, like myself, carries a weapon out there in your car. You wouldn't do that. Anyway, if you do have your weapon with you, legally I'm told you can have it in plain sight. I'm telling you, that's about the dumbest thing you can do. I'm not saying that you are trying to hide it. Have it in the pocket of the door, sitting on the seat, covered up, hands on the wheel. Officer comes up. First time you can get word in edgewise. Officer, I do have a weapon in the car. Okay. Listen. Do whatever that officer tells you. And if you get stopped tomorrow, what that officer tells you may be totally different than if you got stopped in 2.5 or 3 years later. Pay attention to who's standing outside your car at that moment and do exactly what they say. That's all. It's no big deal. Okay? As long as you're not a convicted felon in Texas, you don't even have to have a license anymore. So that's the reality there. So just remember, folks, stay calm, follow the direction of the officers. We may handcuff you. They may. Anyway, here's the tough part. You're going to see people die. You may see one. You may see 30. This is not a pleasant experience, folks, but one thing and one thing only matters to you is that you go home alive. So use your God-given brain and prepare it. Visualize in the coming days. And if it ever happens, then you have the very best chances of survival, I'm telling you, all right?
Steve, a few more minutes.
No, I'm through. When do you return, Sabota? Okay, anyway, so on the worst day of your life, folks, give these folks a call at that number. They will be there as quickly as humanly possible, all right? And instead of wasting everybody's time, if you got a question, come up, ask me, but it is getting later, so James, I'll turn it back over to you. All right.
Thank you, Steve. Real quick before I forget, there is a card at the back of the desk for Joan. I know she hasn't been here recently, so if you would like to sign the card for her, that would be wonderful. Okay, on behalf of the citywide board, the divisional PIP officers, and the entire command staff, we would like to thank all of the PIP members who have been involved in their neighborhoods and the PIP program in our goal in crime prevention. Okay, folks, it's that time. Repeat after me. If you have the time, get involved.
If you have the time, get involved.
If you don't have the time, make the time.
If you don't have the time, make the time.
It's your neighborhood and your city.
It's your neighborhood and your city.
Thank you very much for staying. Appreciate it.